everybody. Happy New Year. It's 2025. Welcome to the Soul Space. I am so glad to see all of you here with me. If you hear a little raspiness in my voice, I have been sick with an upper respiratory thingy. We're not really sure what it is. I haven't had a fever or anything, so I call it the walking around plague. But anyway, welcome into the Soul Space. I'm so, like I said, happy to see you here. Happy to be back. I haven't been here in my little home for over 2 weeks, so this is nice to be here now. And I am going to take a moment to just share the show. So if you would do that, that would be great. And we are going to do some astrology and affirmations tonight and really get us out on the right track for 2025. Can't see my keyboard. So 2025, we're going to kick it off really well. I have some great new things on the show tonight. We're going to do two new segments, which we'll be doing every week, which I'm going to tell you about. And those came about actually because I've really been tapped into the energy. Took a couple of weeks off from the show. Also had about a week or so off from my regular job, even though I'm always working. I am a local realtor, so there's always things to be done. But just brimming with ideas and a lot of new energy for 2025, and I'm really excited to share it all with you. So the first thing I wanted to talk about tonight was the reason that I started the Soul Space podcast. And this is now actually my fourth year doing Soul Space podcast. I started out at a different studio, and now I'm here with Bobby Lacera at Paradise Studios in Massapequa, Strong Island Television and Radio. You can find the show on the YouTube channel of Strong Island, as well as my own Facebook pages and Strong Island's Facebook pages. And of course, my social media is also on Instagram. If you miss a live show, you can always watch the rebroadcast, not just on strongisland.com, but also on Strong Island and my own personal YouTube channel, Zenkuda, where you will find a ton of videos about astrology, some tarot readings, live videos, shorts. You'll find just spiritual wisdom. We've had guests over the years, all kinds of things. So if you're really interested in, being a little more spiritual and a little more tapped into the energy in 2025, go over to that channel and really start looking at some of the things that we've been doing. So I am really happy to be here, as I said, because I really feel like 2025 in many ways starts a whole new line of energy for us. There's a lot of planets that are going to be moving out of signs and going into different signs after very long periods of time. So we're ending a lot of cycles. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that this evening. So I'm going to start the show out. Usually this will be the format every week with some astrology, let you guys know what's going on in the week, what day of the week is good for what. Then we're going to talk a little bit about an affirmation for that week that ties in with some of the astrology energy. So we can really use the stars and the planetary energy and just what's going on in the world energetically to guide our lives and give us a real support and push from the universe. And then we're going to end the show with a little segment that I'm going to be doing on little remotes, which is all about nature. Because one of the things I've found when I've used affirmations in my life or tried to make changes in my life to become more in my full potential or just, make things more harmonious and better is grounding myself in nature really solidifies a lot of the energy. So we'll talk about that. So that's really, the new format for 2025, little astrology, little affirmation, some nature at the end. And of course, when time allows, we're always going to pull cards and do some tarot. So if you would like to have your cards read on the show, pop me a DM and we're going to put you in a drawing. And every week I'll pick someone that we can read your energy and your cards on the show. So I'm going to start, like I said, with some astrology. And boy, the astrology, especially around the holiday time, was very, very intense. We had a lot of things moving around. But this year for 2025 especially, the astrology is going to start to really talk to us in ways it never has before because a lot of the planets are moving into places they haven't been. Just Pluto going into Aquarius the last few weeks has not happened since the 1700s. So we're really, really connecting with a lot of energy that's very new. We have Neptune moving out of Pisces into Aries in 2025. It's been in Pisces for 14 years. Neptune in Pisces is an energy of dreams and imagination, and that's why we've seen the spiritual world become so popular while Neptune was in Pisces, because Neptune is a planet with no bounds. It's out of bounds. It Pisces energy, especially with Neptune there, is all about blurred boundaries and not knowing what boundaries should be or what they are. And it's confusing, and we don't know what's true and what's not true. When that planet moves into Aries, Neptune in Aries is a fire sign. It's going to breathe life into the truth. It's going to breathe life into our connections. It can also, in this time period, while Neptune is closing up its energy in Pisces, where it's been for 14 years, it can mean that we get a little disillusioned. Our illusions are shattered a little bit because now we have that beautiful planet of imagination and dreams and hopes and wishes and seeing everything through rainbow colored glasses. Now we have that planet going into a fire sign, which is action, and it's going to breathe life into reality because we also have Saturn and with Neptune in Pisces. And that'll be there for a little while. These planets aren't going to change until March and April. So what's happening is we're kind of tying up a 14-year cycle from Neptune in Pisces. And with Saturn there, it's giving us structure. It's giving us new boundaries. So what's happening is, on the one hand, we're becoming a little disillusioned, and we're seeing the illusion kind of burst like a Macy's Day balloon that's been entertaining us for 14 years, and all of a sudden we tune into the parade, and the balloon just pops. We're a little disillusioned. We're a little disenfranchised. We don't really know what truth is. We don't really know what's illusion and what's not because we haven't been put into the new energy yet. And by the same token, in our personal lives, that's all about our boundaries. So what we see happening is these illusions we had about boundaries for ourselves and the ones we make, and also the ones that others are bringing into our life, they're kind of changing. We're giving birth to a new version of ourselves, but yet we don't know what that is because we haven't gone into the new energy yet. So we're closing up those cycles. We're closing up a lot of conditioning, and we're closing up a lot of disillusionment and a lot of disenfranchising. So that's why I wanted to bring affirmations into the show. One of the things about these years of Neptune in Pisces has been this kind of floating around a little bit of confusion, or, really believing what we want to believe. And now as Saturn closes in on Neptune at the end of Pisces, we're going to see some structure come into that, and it's really kind of like a reality check. So on the one hand, we have all that disillusionment. The things that once made us feel really good, don't make us feel so good anymore. And the boundaries that we put in place that we thought were really good and healthy, now we're starting to see them for the misplaced kind of things they were. And so that's the negativity that's going to lead us to positivity. Because as these boundaries get more and more real, and as we realize they're not maybe what we wanted in the first place, we will create new. But the beautiful way to use that energy of Saturn, our structure, the planet that limits us and brings us back into reality so we can really birth something and give form to something. Saturn is the structure of our lives, while Neptune is, us floating around the galaxy looking for the connection, looking for home, looking for source. When those two planets come together, we can use that energy to give form to our dreams. The imagination knows no bounds with Neptune, and so it'll keep floating out in outer space. But when Saturn comes in to give it a boundary, now that beautiful imagination can be breathed into form, can be built into a structure. And when those two planets go into Aries, we're going to be able to breathe fire into those imagination, that dream, that structure. And that's when things are really going to start to solidify. Now, Neptune goes into Aries March 30th, and then Saturn follows on May 24th. So we're in a position right now where we have a chance to really birth a new us. And that's why I'm so excited about 2025. Is this easy? Hell no. But it's also progress. It's also finally leaving behind those Capricorn, Pluto and Capricorn years, whereas the structures kept crumbling and crumbling one after another. And we felt like we saw no end in sight. Now with Pluto and Aquarius, the buzzwords for 2025 are innovation, and also what we're going to do to give ourselves new future. So innovation and future are the two buzzwords for 2025 with Pluto and Aquarius. And of course, the buzzwords that Neptune and Aries, Neptune and Saturn in Aries are going to bring us is progress, boundaries, the reformation of boundaries. When Saturn and Neptune come together in an air sign, and they're going to do that actually at 0 degrees of Aries, which is symbolic of a whole new birth. The astrological calendar begins at 0 degrees of Aries. So when we approach those springtime changes, March, May, we're going to start to feel like our life really moves forward. The ball really starts rolling down the hill. And that's why it's really important for us to change our mindsets. We have to get rid of the negative and birth positive. We have to get rid of those things that have been conditioning us our whole life, and all of that self-talk that we do that is negative, or maybe keeping us limited, keeping us in a boundary that no longer really serves us, a boundary that doesn't feel right anymore. One of the things that I love about doing my podcast here at Strong Island is Bobby Lassara, who is our producer and the owner at Strong Island. He is always building new sets and doing new things and just moving us forward. And tonight I came in and he just installed a 13-foot monitor, which I'm going to put a little video up about after the show. A 13-foot monitor. When I walked in, it looked like I was in the NBC studios or something. It was so exciting. I can't wait to do astrology over there. I don't know what that's going to be like, but I hope I get to do it. But it reminded me that he's boundless right now. He has no boundaries. He's going for the gusto. He's going for the limits. So if you're thinking about doing anything, this is the place to be. But it reminded me of a story and my own boundaries and how much they've changed at one time. I remember, I guess it was back maybe 2006 or so, when plasma TVs were the rage. And, I'm dating myself a little bit. But, 20 years ago, TVs were like really expensive. Now you can get a TV for, $1,200 and it's huge. And believe me, the wall TV he just bought was a lot of money. We can't afford it. But back in 2005, 2006, people were buying TVs and they were really expensive. And I remember coming home one time and trying to have just an idle conversation, a little bit of a conversation with my husband at the time, no longer married. And I said, "Where do you want to go on vacation this year?" And he said, "I don't want to go on vacation." And this was really weird because he was a traveler. He loved to go on vacation. And he said, "I want to go to Big TV Land." And I'm like, "What?" And at the time, the TV that he wanted was like $6,000 or something. And 20 years ago, that was a pretty good amount of money. Pretty good amount of money these days, too. And so we decided, all right, we're not going to go on vacation. You can have your big TV. I'm not a TV watcher, never have been. So that tells you something about my own boundaries. I gave up my vacation so my ex-husband could watch TV. So, which is okay. It's fine. It's who I was at the time. So I remember waking up the morning after it came. And as I said, I'm not a TV watcher. And I walked into our den in my home, and there was this humongous TV that took up most of the wall. And I remember walking by it, and he said, "What do you think?" And I looked over at the Today Show and I said, "I think Katie Couric needs to trim her nose hairs. What the hell is this?" I said, "We used to have a TV room. Now we have a room. We used to have a room with a TV. Now we have a TV with a room." It was tremendous. So now I walked into a studio tonight and there's a 13-foot TV wall, and I'm happy about it because it's something about progress, and it's something I know I can use to get a message out. And what we do here at the studio always has such positivity to it. And there's some great shows and some great messages. And so that's the thing about boundaries. They're not set in stone. We think they are. We make all these boundaries and we do them so that we're protected and so that, we keep other people away, or maybe we set a boundary for our own self-respect. But as we change and our energy changes and our frequency changes, our boundaries and the way that we talk to ourselves and what's important and meaningful to us also changes. And so that's why I wanted to bring affirmations into each show, because I'm hoping this year, as my frequency changes and I change my boundaries and I, move the chess pieces on the board to create the life I want, along with you, I can keep my thoughts positive and my thoughts clear, and maybe we can both kind of support and pull each other into a really beautiful place to be. So I don't think I would ever again give up a vacation for somebody to buy a TV. When I look back, that was, the dream of a much younger person. And, I used to definitely sacrifice myself a lot more than I do now. And I think we do that a lot in life. And I don't think, a lot of times people say, "Oh, that women do that." Well, maybe, but I think everyone does that. We want to be liked and needed and loved so much that we find ourselves, we keep, moving the boundary and moving the boundary. Or we keep opening the wall, putting the castle gate down, allowing someone in that really shouldn't be in. On the way over here, I was thinking about the time in my life right after my divorce in the early 2010s. And I was thinking about how I dated a lot, and thinking about looking back now, a lot of the people I found myself in company with, even friendship wise, were probably not really good for me. But my boundary and my walls were so down at the time because I just didn't really want to be home alone. And I think we also do that. We start to spend time with things that really aren't our best potential or maybe aren't really for us. And I'm not saying that with judgment, I'm saying it in the sense of self love. And are you really moving the train forward? What do you really want with your life to look like? And on the last show I did before the holidays, I gave some questions about relationships because we were having that full moon in, I believe it was Libra. And now I'm going to ask you, like, what is it? What is it that you talk to yourself every day about? You know, are you driving to work or driving the kids to school and thinking, oh, I should have done that. I did it again. Or are you driving saying, hey, I'm so excited because I know I'm going to make this good in my life, or I'm going to make this better. So that's my goal this year for myself, is what I call the correct use of energy, and really using my energy and affirming in my own life and confirming my life to be my best potential and bringing my best self forward. So the first thing that we have to do when we start to think about affirmations and using affirmations in our life is allowing ourselves to understand that our boundaries are going to be flexible, because affirmations are going to definitely change your boundaries, and because they're going to make you stronger and build your own self-confidence. And I know, you know, myself included, I have a tendency to always think, oh, I'm have plenty of self-love. Oh, I'm plenty confident. But then when I really start to do a certain affirmation, I'll realize, and things will come up and sensations will come up and memory fields will come up of where, yeah, that could use a little work, you know? So that's why I love using words and changing the self-talk that we have within our minds. So when we start this year, and if you're going to be a member of the Community and Soul Space and watching the show, and I'm including me in this kind of work, is we have to give closure to the things we've been working on for years. And there's a lot of them. And even myself putting segments in the show and getting here earlier than I usually do for the podcast and things like that are me really giving closure to things that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And the reason I say that is because astrologically, where the planets are now, so many planets are moving out of signs they've been in for a long time, like I said. And so that's going to give us the opportunity, in the universe supporting us, the energy on Earth right now supporting us to give closure to some of the things that we have been working on for years. And I hope some of the affirmations that we're going to do on the show are going to help that. The other thing about affirmations is the reason we do them and we say things positively to ourselves is because it creates stability for us to be in a very powerful and abundant state. And you're going to hear me say that phrase a lot over the next year. Create stability for a powerful and abundant state. If you have things in your life that are unstable, we have to shore them up in order to create the energy we need to be powerful and abundant. You can't be powerful and abundant when you're super insecure and surrounded by insecurities. So maybe keep a journal of what those are, you know, and eliminate the things that enforce the negative self-talk. And when you're doing the affirmations every week, kind of think about, where did that negative talk, the counter, the polarization to the affirmation, when was the first time I felt it? Where did it come from? Because that's where the work lies. That is where the work lies. So I am going to go to our affirmations. And the last thing I'm going to say before I run that little clip is, my goal for my life, and if you want to take it on in your life, that's great, because I don't want to be an influencer, but I want to inspire you to be better and do the life you want. And when I say be better, again, that's not with judgment. I'm just saying we all have things we want to improve, right? I have a little bit of weight I want to lose right now. I have some habits that I want to break about procrastination, things like that. But I always went into things previously thinking I have to, as though they were a problem to solve. I got to solve this problem. I got to take off 15 pounds, or I have to, eat healthier, or I have to stop driving so fast, or I have to get to work earlier. Like there's a problem to be solved. It's not. Those things that you're clicking off in your head right now that are your negatives or your areas where you just need to maybe put a little glue on or little patches, they're not problems to be solved. It's about self development. You want to develop the self so that you don't have that in your life anymore. You want to change your boundary, your definition of who you are. And I think 2025 can be a year where we can really change the definition of who we are if we want to, and change those things that we don't like about ourselves, those things we use as weapons in our own minds to make ourselves not good enough, you know? And so instead of thinking of things as a problem to be solved, think of, I have to develop something in myself so this no longer is. That's self-development. That's self-mastery. And that's what the soul space is all about, is that self-development and self-mastery, leading a really harmonious life and making sure that our affirmations, our habits, our daily routines are all in communion in and affirming the life we want to live. So I'm going to roll our little affirmation vids, and then we'll talk a little more about it. I am in control of my life. That's quite an affirmation. You know, affirmations actually are words that can create our life. And the way this works is we grow up with belief systems, right? Our parents or our caretakers or teachers or authoritarian figures, even our media, or the songs we listen to, the TV, the radio, everything forms belief systems in us and forms things in our mind that we tell ourselves, and that's self-talk. And that forms scientific neural pathways in our brain that produce energy that we use to create our life. But if we can redo those neural pathways and create positivity where there's negativity, then we can create a different life. So that's why I chose for our first affirmation of the week, I am in control of my life, because we really are. We might think the external things that surround us, the people, the situations, the obligations, the responsibilities are controlling us, but they're really not. We have choices. Now, I know we all have to be responsible about certain things, but within those responsibilities is a call from the universe to respond to our ability. And that is our ability to make choices and to create more of us that is positive and our full potential. So as you recite this affirmation, I am in control of my life, when you wake up in the morning, throughout the day, and especially before you go to sleep at night, think about what comes up for you. What sensations do you feel in your body? What thoughts come to mind? What memory fields? What memories? What are the triggers that have been playing on your life and playing in your life that have given you limitation, that have prevented you from truly being in control? And how can you shift your thinking to shift them in the three-dimensional world? I know we all have obligations, we all have things we have to do, but we also all have the ability to create boundaries. And this year in 2025, you're going to hear me talk a lot about boundaries as a theme, because we have some planetary aspects that are coming in that are really going to heighten boundaries in our life. It's a great opportunity for us to take control of the things that are limiting us, holding us back, and once and for all, create our thought pattern, which can create a life that is much more in harmony with what we really want to be and do and spend our time and energy doing, and use our energy in a really correct way. So that affirmation, I am in control of my life, doesn't mean that we're going to go around and eliminate people or things or situations in anger or in more negativity. It does mean that we're going to find solutions and problem solving in a much more harmonious way that brings us into our full potential. We can still meet our responsibilities in life without sacrificing ourselves and the control we have over our daily lives. And that's what we're going to talk more and more about as this year unfolds. And most of the affirmations that we're going to do, these weekly affirmations, are going to be in regards to that. But what I'd love to see us all do, and I'm going to do this too, because I need some help in this area myself, in order to set boundaries about things that are, maybe making me a little bit distracted or taking me away from the things I really want to do in order to bring myself to the world in full potential. So I'm going to recite this every day when I wake up. I'm going to actually set my watch so that I, throughout the day, at least 3 times, just stop and pause, take a deep breath, and think about, I am in control of my life and what that really means. And as this week unfolds, try to do that, and especially recite this affirmation before you go to bed. It may even be a good idea to put this affirmation on a little piece of paper on your mirror in the morning, where you see it in the morning, or on your night table before you go to sleep at night. The power of thought to create our lives in a positive way is so huge. So remember, I am in control of my life. Can't wait to hear some feedback on what this has meant for you guys on next week's show. Thank you so much, and don't forget, write your affirmation down. Think about it. Meditate on it. I am in control of my life. Affirmations are just so powerful. And one of the reasons why I chose I am in control of my life is because I feel like that's the foundation of all of the affirmations we're going to be working with this year. We have to understand that we're in control. So sometimes we feel like we're obligated to do something, or we just feel pressure. But at the end of the day, we only have ourselves to blame for whatever the choices we make are. And we have to step into that responsibility. Now, I know some of us have children or elderly parents or, financial responsibilities that just really aren't in alignment with who we want to be right now. And there's always that survival that we have to have certain things going on in our life that maybe are a little bumpy or are not in alignment with what we really want to do. But remember, it's all about self-development, not problem solving. What are the resources that we have within ourselves that we can make changes in small ways to make things more harmonious and more in alignment? Pluto going into Aquarius was a big deal. You're hearing everybody talk about that. You're going to hear me still talk about it a lot this year because it's the first year Pluto's going into Aquarius. Pluto, with a 240-year cycle, doesn't go into a sign in our lifetime. We'll be dead before it comes out of, Aquarius, many of us. And some of us will live to see it go into the next sign. But we're not going to see it go back into Aquarius ever again. It'll be there until 2038. Now, Aquarius is an air sign. It's actually the last air sign in astrology, in the zodiac. It's all about liberating from tradition. It's about liberation from traditional habits. It's about breaking free from conditioning. And by conditioning, I mean the shouldas, the wouldas, you have to be's. It's especially about our early conditioning in childhood. So one of the exercises I'm going to give you tonight, and I've been doing this myself, and I love it because I really can actually feel the energy change when I do it. So it's kind of like a meditation. If you're not a meditator, don't worry. You'll still be able to do this. It's really pretty cool. So one of the things I look at conditioning, or the way, we're brought up, or society has taught us, or even sometimes we pick a certain career and things are done a certain way, and maybe it's not the way we would really want to do something, but we're conditioned in all of these belief systems. And remember, Aquarius keywords: individualize, innovate. Individualize, innovation. So think about your life, and maybe there's something in your life that you really want to change, a situation or a relationship or a job or whatever. And think of it as a movie. Picture yourself like literally seeing yourself on the screen. You're inside the screen. You're in the movie. You're an actor in the movie. And you're playing yourself, and you're watching this play out. Maybe it was something that happened Christmas Day, or maybe something from your childhood, or you're watching the movie of your life right now. You're just watching it play out. And there's something in that movie that's dissatisfying to you, that you want to change, that isn't really what you want, right? And you're going to play that movie. You're a character in that play. You're a character in that movie. Watch it play out. Allow yourself to feel the discomfort, to feel this isn't really where I want to be. Why am I letting this happen? Oh, is it going to happen again? Whatever the thoughts are. And then step out of the movie. Walk off the stage, down the steps, past the theater seats, past the popcorn machine, past the lobby, past the ticket takers, out the front door. Walk out of your movie. Energetically walk away from the conditioning, the tradition, the pattern. Walk away from it. I am in control of my life. Step out of the movie. Even if you have to feel yourself breaking out of that screen and walking down those steps, past the first rows, down past the other rows, past the exit sign, through the lobby, smell of popcorn, past the ticket takers, out the front door. You no longer have to be in that movie. I am in control of my life. That's our mantra, our affirmation for this week. And now take that to the positive. If we have the power to break through that screen, walk off that stage, walk out of the movie, then we have the power to create a different movie, to create a different play, a different story. And we can be in that. Only it's not going to feel like the old one. It's not going to feel uncomfortable. Oh, why did I do that? Oh, not again. Oh, I don't like this. No. Now we can write and create our own story. One that feels like, wow, I really like it here. Ooh, this feels so good. Wow, I didn't think I'd ever do this, but I feel really powerful doing this. And just think about that as you're driving to work, as you're making the coffee, as you're going to sleep at night, when the lunch bell rings, every time you get hungry, use anything you can use that is a trigger for you to say that affirmation. I'm thirsty. Oh, I'm in control of my life. Every time you hear your phone ring, I'm in control of my life. Do I want to answer this or not? Is this good for me or not? Trigger yourself to go into a positive state of strength and abundance and power to walk out of your movie. Just break through that screen. And that's why I chose I am in control of my life as our first affirmation. Because we have to break the past. We have to understand we are in control, not everyone else, not the media, not the externals. No, we are in control. It is us. We're responsible. Whatever it is that you need to change, we are responsible. And if you want an astrological reading or a reading with me personally in order to understand exactly where the detriment or why the karma is happening that way in your life, zenkuda.com. I'll be glad to give you a reading because it's going to really open up and clear the path and bring clarity. And that's going to give you a beautiful, beautiful gift to start the year off with. The other thing about this year is also body karma. That's going to be a big thing. We're going to be going into a lot of air, a lot of fire signs. You'll feel that in your body as refreshment, as different. You're not going to feel so heavy and so weighed down. So we really get a great opportunity to be able to really tune into the body and sensation and what feels good and what doesn't. Our body never lies to us. So that's a really, really good thing to do. So when you're in those little thought patterns, those little periods of frequency where you're really feeling that mantra, I am in control of my life, think about what would make you happy. You're an actor in the stage, you're in your movie of your life, you're playing it out. How are you going to change it? What's the next scene really going to be? What do I need to be happy? That's going to retrain your mind and your brain. And the reason why affirmations are so important to the body rhythm and the body karma, which is going to be very heightened in the months to come for all of us, is the neural pathways in our brain are what we form when we form new thoughts and new habits and new ways of doing things. Like when you're a kid and you learn to ride a bike, there's a new neural pathway that's formed so that you can learn to ride a bike. I just recently had to learn a whole new computer system for our multiple listing service as a realtor. And so I formed new neural pathways to understand when I go online and see that screen, oh, this is what you do. New neural pathways in the brain. Right now, we all have some neural pathways in our brain that are negative. Oh, I'm too fat. Oh, I shouldn't have eaten that. Oh, I should have gone to church Sunday. Oh, my mom's going to be mad if I don't do this. We have to let them go and reform and rewire. And the way you do that is words and affirmation. Words are so powerful. So change that word. And even that simple, I am in control of my life, is going to bring you a new neural pathway, and you'll learn a new skill, and you'll become strong and powerful and abundant so that then you can start to learn new things and create more neural pathways in the brain. It really is true, and it really does work. So remember in the beginning of the show, I was talking about Saturn and Pisces and how they're going to be going into Aries in March and May, respectively. Well, when those planets go into fire, it's going to even heighten more the power that we have now to put structure to our dreams and our imaginations. Just like our affirmations and our thought process are creating new neural pathways, we want to make sure that we're also building structure and practicality into what we do. That's why it's really important for us to go back and bring ourselves out of the old pathways, the old tradition. If we don't do that, our new neural pathways are going to form based on those foundations. So you've got to get rid of that old self-talk. I am in control of my life. Clear away, step out of the movie, step onto your power. Feel yourself walking out of that theater. Picture your life in a more on a new movie screen. Picture you standing in that new movie, that new play. And then ask yourself, do you see you? Do I see me? Very, very powerful. As you're standing there watching the movie of your life unfold of what it really is and what reality is, do you see yourself? What is your priority in that movie? Who's the main character? Because if the main character in your movie isn't you, that's where the work lies. So I always use the totem pole. A lot of you watching will know if you've done coaching with me. Everyone has a totem pole, right? Who's on the top of your totem pole? It has to be you. So do you see yourself in the movie? And when you step into it, can you feel yourself in that movie? Are you the main character? Because if not, then that magic wand that we have that creates the movie and brings us out of the movie, we all have a magic wand. We fly it around and we do stuff with it, and abracadabra, boom, this is our life we just created. Somewhere along the line, you took that magic wand and handed it to somebody else if you're not the main character in your movie. So take back the starring role. I am in control of my life. And start 2025 with you as the star in your own show, in your own movie that you are going to create with positive affirmations and also grounding yourself in nature. That's the other part of an affirmation. You have to have the structure in place to recreate your life. When you walk out of that movie theater and you walk out of the movie that's your life, now the work begins to start a new movie. You need some structure. One of the ways to get structure is through nature. Because when we go out in nature, in the light, not only does the codes of the light actually also help our brain develop new pathways, but being out in nature is God's love. We have to have the structure and the foundation, the support system to be able to create a new life. So nature reinforces as a reflection of all of God's love where we can actually sit and be held by the universe and give strength to our back and our support system and our feet on the earth and grounding in order to bring us to the power we need to create the new structure for the new movie, the new traditions, the new systems. When I'm in nature and I see a beautiful sunset or I see a beautiful vista, mountaintop, or, when you're in a plane and you see the clouds going by, or some of the most beautiful things if you travel and you've seen, think about those things were all created just for us. Just for us. How loved are we that the energy that made us and made the universe and made all things, because we're all one in that, how unbelievable is it that someone loved you enough to create this whole universe for you? The way the stars look at night in the sky, the way a little baby bird looks. Sometimes especially today, we had a little snowfall where I am, and I just watched the squirrels for about 5 minutes today and just kind of gave thanks for the earth. That is what we call grounding in creation. Because when you say an affirmation, I am in control of my life, it's calling you to create something. Whether that's a new thought process, a new neural pathway in the brain, or structure in your life, a belief system, an emotion. Affirmations are calling on you to create something. So by going out in nature and seeing the beauty of Creator and grounding ourselves in that creation, we get infused with the power of creation. And I'm just going to share with you now a little bit that I did about nature and every week at the end of the show or towards the end of the show, we're going to do a little something. I'm going to show you my favorite places that I go to ground and be in God's presence. Yeah, so I want to talk about nature. So I am at one of my local beaches, and I don't know, camera's probably not going to do it justice, but behind me is a really beautiful sunset. And one of the things that I started doing when I was sequestered during COVID is every day I would get up from my home office where I was working, and every day I would go and look at a beautiful sunset. Every day at 4:30 I left my desk and I ran to the local beach in order to see a really, really pretty sunset. And what it did was it made me feel like I wasn't so alone. It bathed me in God's love. It bathed me in the beauty of the earth. But it also gave me companionship, believe it or not. I just felt like I was out doing something. It was beautiful and almost as though God was embracing me. And since then I've learned that all of nature and all the beautiful things we see, they were created just for us. You know, whatever energy made us and made the earth and the sky and the sun and the stars and the moon and plants and living creatures, created all this beauty just for us. That's how loved we are. And that's why it's so important to get out in nature, because it's just a beautiful, beautiful place to remind yourself how loved we are, and that everything we see in these beautiful vistas is really just God reaching out, putting his arms around us and showing us how loved we are. And so every day I try to get out somewhere in nature so that I can see a beautiful sunset like the one that's behind me, or I can see the water or the trees or something. And I'm going to turn the camera around. Maybe it will, like it better. There you go. It didn't look right when I was on the film. But these are the kind of things I try and look at every day. And if we can go out in nature and allow it to ground us, allow it to make us feel loved, and just revel in its beauty, the calm water, the waves are so calm today, just coming into the shore. Just like life changes, the water changes every day. The scenery around us changes every day, especially if we live in a place where there are 4 seasons. And so in the weeks to come, every time I bring you to another beautiful vista of nature, and I'd love it if you guys on social media sent us in your pictures of the things that you love in nature and share them with us. Share the light, share the love. But in the weeks to come, I'm going to be bringing you to some of my favorite spots. And this is one of my favorite spots at sunset, whether it's the winter or the summer, because it's just a very calm area. It's an area where people usually bring their boats in the summer, and there's a big boatyard marina behind here. And sometimes you can hear children playing or seagulls in the background. And it's just so, so pretty. And my special places that I'm going to be showing you in our nature feature every week. And I hope you'll join me in the soul space and let nature awaken a soul space in you. So I am going to challenge all of you, if you want to send me a little clip at connect@zenkuda.com. We can put up your favorite places in nature as well. Tess says, nature is everything for me. Blessed to live in Florida, where I get to ground myself, earthing barefoot. Yep, that's what they call it. Almost always, even thought it was chilly out the other night. I got to stand barefoot under the stars and literally get hugged. Yeah, that's what it feels like. So as you're, doing your self-development and working your practices this year, definitely get out in nature. Remember, I am in control of my life. Don't even think the fact that you don't have time to do it. It could be 5 minutes. Get up earlier, 5 minutes every day, have your coffee outside, go to the beach or whatever. But yeah, nature is really, really some beautiful, beautiful place to be. I can tell you, nature saved my life. When you're out in nature and you're trying to make changes in your life or move your life forward or really get in touch with yourself in order to live in harmony and alignment with your soul space, you're going to receive clarity. It's going to be more peaceful. it's just really is God's love is really nature. So I just think it's just so beautiful. So use that. And remember, this week our affirmation is I am in control of my life. If you're looking for a reading in order to see what areas are really the weak spots, or like I always call the cracks in the driveway, you could definitely, call me for a reading. I'd be glad to do it. Just so you know, my readings use astrology and also psychic ability. I read a chart psychically as well as evolutionary astrology is what I practice. And you can go on zenkuda.com. You can book your reading right on site. It gives you the time and day. You get it, and that's it. And pay through the site. And then that's your appointment. But when you book a reading with me, I also do it on Zoom so that I record it, and then you have that video to keep for years to come. Most of my clients do come back every 6 months for a new update on their chart. But the reason why I videotape my readings is because the readings I used to have when I was first on the path of astrology, 15 years ago, I actually go back and sometimes still look at them because there's some really beautiful and meaningful parts that sometimes we forget. So I like to record my readings so that you have them and you can keep referring to certain things that were said during the readings for a very long time. There are many people that I know watching tonight and that will watch the replay of the show, which you can watch on zenkuda.com and also Zenkuda on YouTube. And they'll tell you that sometimes having an astrological reading is very life-changing because it gives you a grounding and also makes sense of your life. For me, the belief I have in astrology is really made sense of the world. And so I like to impart that to all of you. So I will be back next Monday at 7 o'clock and with another affirmation and also another beautiful nature moment. And then we'll talk a little more also about the astrology. I do just want to say before we hang up tonight that we do have a full moon coming in on, hold on one sec, didn't get to that, but I'm going to tell you about it now. Whoa. Remember, go beyond the present definition that is you. Yes, we have a new full moon coming in, I believe, on January 13th. And we also have the nodes changing, the nodes of the moon changing into Pisces and Virgo on January 11th. So I'll do a couple of quick videos on my YouTube site about that this week so you guys know what the guidance is for that energy. Until then, next week, I will see you in the soul space. Please share the show. Let everybody know. Let's get this community going. And I'll be back next Monday night at 7 o'clock. Thanks so much, guys. Love you all. Hi, everybody. It's Georgia Rose from Zenkuda, and here is our beautiful new website, zenkuda.com. So I want to show you a little bit and give you a tour of this beautiful site that we have. And everything is all in one place now, and you can do everything Zenkuda right on our website. So when you log into the homepage, there's a little space here where you can go right to Zenkuda Astrology, online classes, or book a reading or coaching session with me. Not only do I offer astrology readings and coaching sessions, but I also do tarot work and all kinds of things to help you get in touch with your own soul space and living Zenkuda. There's also a place here where I describe my journey and what it was like for me to actually found the Zenkuda community and be able to bring you all of the healing techniques that we do and the philosophies of evolutionary astrology, spiritual wisdom, and yoga. And you can read about what my journey was like. And in addition to that, if you go on to book a reading, you can actually book a reading for any session that you really would like to have. For instance, a 1-hour astrology chart reading, a tarot card reading. I also do synastry chart readings for couples. And I can also do a long distance healing meditation and Reiki session. And you can even purchase our Circle of Light Oracle cards, which were created by myself in order to put healing and light into your day. If you go back up, there's also a space where we're going to be putting our online classes. Those will be very, very soon. If you'd like to be informed about those online classes, about astrology and spirituality, yoga, all sorts of things, you can join our wait list and just give us your email and we'll be sure to let you know exactly when classes will be starting. And this button here brings you right to the Soul Space podcast. You can now watch the Soul Space live or past Soul Space podcast right on our zenkuda.com page. You can listen to them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on YouTube and enjoy every minute and never miss a show. So I hope you'll look at this beautiful website. I'm also writing blogs about my journey, and we're in the process of importing all the older blogs that I've written in the last 5 to 10 years right on our Rose blog page, which is my beautiful blog. And you can, anytime you want, just come in and read all about my own journey to finding Zenkuda. If you want to work with me in a small or large group, or book me for reading, or doing a gallery style reading, or a public speaking event, or even a retreat, you can do that on our Work with Georgia page. And hopefully we can help you create your future with some coaching or some astrology workshops. So that is our beautiful Zenkuda.com site. I hope you'll be on there. We're also developing a space for community on there where you can learn more about astrology and spirituality and all kinds of things, and we can support each other on our beautiful, beautiful journey to finding our own soul space and living Zenkuda.